I'm still learning photography. I was in my first year at Ryerson Polytechnical Institute, now Ryerson University, studying photography. Bernice Abbott came to the school to present at a symposium on photography. Abbott was a great photographer. She was an early street photographer. Her architectural work around New York City is stunning, and she created leading-edge scientific photographs in her day. I didn't know much of this the day she came to our class to do a presentation. The year was 1977, and I remember very little of what she said. There were two huge takeaways, though. The first was she brought the work of Eugene Atget to the world, a Parisian photographer from the late 1800s through to 1927. His works, for me, transcended a document of Paris from the time. I could talk about them both at length, perhaps another time. I implore you to have a look at Atget's work. The second takeaway, she stated to our little group that she was still learning photography. She was 79. I was a young punk who imagined he had the world by the tail. Moments like this are sublime and stay with us for our whole lives. She set me on a path of lifelong learning before I even knew what lifelong learning was. I recognized that here was a pillar of photography who was still learning. What does that mean? I would hazard it is fundamental to our progress as humans to continue through life with an open mind, knowing there is the possibility to witness something new at any given moment in time. Beyond that, it is crucial we continue to explore and expand our knowledge throughout our lives. But why? The journey's the thing. And expansion of mind, heart, and soul nourishes us, keeping us actively engaged and ultimately happy. Food and water are not our only sources of sustenance. I still wonder what she meant that day, still learning photography. I've been exploring photography for almost 50 years. Yes, my vision has continually evolved and changed. I've migrated comfortably from analog to digital. I continue to explore light. But there's more. Photography, being a photographer, has taken me to incredible places I doubt I would have had the opportunity to see otherwise. It has created opportunities for me to interact with people I would never otherwise have had the opportunity to meet. I feel its license opened doors for allowing me to enter people's lives. Still learning photography and still learning with photography. My message is simple. Use the camera as a tool for exploration, whatever that looks like to you. It will be different for each of us. With an open mind and heart, the sky's the limit. Like Bernice, never stop exploring. Last year, I went to a presentation by my old Ryerson prof. Afterwards, I told him how Bernice's comment lived with me to this day. He informed me while driving her from the airport, she commented numerous times on photographs she was seeing as they made their way downtown to Ryerson. He was completely in awe to hear what she witnessed along a way he traveled every day without seeing any of these possibilities. Unearth your vision while advancing your abilities to communicate with the Photography Whisperer method and the consideration of the history of photography. Let's just explore their work a little bit, shall we? So here's Bernice again. The previous image actually was taken 2 years after I met her at Ryerson. Here's a much younger looking Bernice. Look at that camera. Imagine working with that camera. I've worked with cameras similar to that, and it really does change how you you work, how you look and see. Worth considering. Part of what I discuss in the Photography Whisperer method. But look at these two exquisite architectural shots from New York City. Just on the right-hand one, one of the things I'd love you to notice here is the verticals, how square and aligned they are. And that's done through the use of a large format camera, like the one that she has in that middle photograph. And then the one on the left, same camera again, but more of an abstraction and creating a really interesting relationship between the two different styles of architecture, one against the other, and just creates a really beautiful feeling of New York City and the history and the difference that you see there. I'm going to spend more time on Eugene Ache, he's the gentleman seated, the second image to the right at the top. Bernice actually discovered him. She was working as a printer for Man Ray in France, in Paris. And when she met him and saw his work, she only got to see him 2 times, I believe. It was very brief anyway. And she ended up purchasing all of his work, saving it from disappearing, thankfully. But just to look at the range of the work that she did over the years, the portraiture, the street photography, look at that exquisite image of that deer in the window, just perfectly framed and lit, not her lighting, obviously. And then the science photographs, abstractions in a way, but also revealing about her technological capabilities. Just fantastic. Here's some of Ache's work. Again, street photography. He's using an 8x10 camera with glass plates. Huge amount of work and effort. He spent the last year or so of his life subsisting on sugar and water because he wanted to continue photographing and could not afford both to do that and to eat properly. Not a place any of us want to go, but it just underlines his commitment, his passion, I guess, to me. And look at that face in that image on the left next to that older gentleman and on the street. It's just such a lovely moment. And he also documented the prostitutes in Paris at the time and created a sense of person, a sense of identity versus how we have and continue to perceive what prostitutes are or aren't. He did a lot of window photography, and I just wanted to really point out 2 very different looks and feel between these 2 images. The one on the right is probably more indicative of what a view camera image might be, because it's nicely squared up, it's very formally designed, whereas the one on the left almost starts to give you a sense. It almost has a little tilt. It has a feel of a 35 millimeter shot. It has a looseness and energy to it. And yet I love that dance that goes around through the women. And you just change your point of view a little bit and that's gone. Sure, somebody designed that to make that window, but how we take it, where we position ourselves to get the desired expression that we want to get across. Hugely important and hugely valuable for us as photographers today and going forward. His sense of space, this is what really got me right from the get-go. I was very fortunate while I was at Ryerson. There was an exhibit at the National Gallery in Ottawa of his work, and to see it in person is a whole different experience than seeing it online, seeing it in a PowerPoint such as this. So if you have an opportunity, go to exhibits once we get to a place where we can go to them again. But look at the line of those beautifully shaped evergreens leading us in up the stairs and into this long expanse going off to the right on that next landing. I mean, you can just walk around this space forever. You just walk in and walk around, and there's such a sense of beauty and tranquility. It's just fantastic. And who takes stairways and makes them look inviting and exciting? Certainly, it's an exquisite stairway, but that point of view, the time of day with the shadow and the light is just so important that makes this photograph work. Things that we have to consider as photographers. Again, sense of space, that we have this fence in our way, but visually we're led right in by even the point of view of where the lion is looking, and we go in and we follow the curve of that waterway into this space, and we're brought back by the stone structure on the edge of the pool, and then we're stuck in this circular motion in this space, just relishing it. Look at this. Look at this. I mean, I could just stare at this and feel peace, feel beauty, feel expanse. How do you do that in a photograph? It's not easy to get that perspective, to have that vision, to set down there and photograph this. Now, one of the things he revisited a number of these spaces on an ongoing basis, which opened his vision up more and more the more he went. And that's something to consider how we work. What are you passionate about? What do you want to revisit over and over again and develop a look and a feel that is special to that place and to you? He explored trees. I love trees. I still love to photograph trees. And these are pretty amazing trees, the age and the history. And one of the things I guess I find interesting about this is, would I have photographed these trees in that light at that time of year? Because certainly if they had leaves, they would be a whole different feeling and expression. And these are decisions that we need to make as we explore. So if we have a passion for trees, individual trees versus forests, then how do we go about unearthing what we want to say about those trees? Well, we just start by photographing them over again, all kinds of different trees, looking at our results and finding our story there, basically. I'm going to leave it there for Mr. Ache. I'd really encourage you to go explore him some more. He's a delight. Such an interesting character, such an interesting body of work. And in the process, see what it is, if there is something in his work that sparks something in you that you can apply to your own photography. And that's really a lot of what we do in the Photography Whisperer method, is we're exploring elements of how to create great photographs, but we're also exploring what it is we're trying to say with them. And that's where I help you gain a foothold on where to go.